Well, we're on.
We are live, finally.
Everybody, hey, how you doing out there? This is the J.O.B. podcast. Very, very thankful for you to be here with us today. It's been a long time coming, since early March. My man Ty Steele came here, I guess, early March, second week of March. We were sitting down talking about March Madness, just watching some basketball. And he said, hey, I was thinking about maybe we should do a podcast. And I must have given him a look like he had about 5 heads. I said, I don't know, man. How are we going to do this as busy as we are? And but we're here. And despite everything that we've got going on, obviously in our personal lives, getting back on our feet after Hurricane Michael. I know he recently just moved right around the corner from one apartment complex to another. We've been blessed to be back in our house for about 6 weeks now. Still very humbling just to be home. And there's no replacement for being home. By the way, I am Dave Ford. For those of you who aren't familiar with me, this is Ty Steele. And we have gotten very, very close over the last 3 years. It's been very rapid, very positive. And Ty, go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody out there.
Well, I'm multitasking right now. So y'all excuse me, I'm trying to get us up on all platforms. So that's basically it. We've always talked about different things. Coach Ford has been my daughter's basketball coach. That's where I first met him. And I was like, who is this guy that constantly keeps yelling? I love him. So that's how our relationship started. And we also started talking about different life things and always trying to motivate and teach kids in a new way. And we found out that we were a lot alike on a lot of ways. So on a lot of different things. And I was like, it would be a cool idea to have a platform, especially this day and age with so much out in the world. There's so much to talk about. There's so many different opinions. And we understood as men a while ago, everybody has an opinion. And I'm going to respect your opinion. I may not like your opinion, but I'm going to respect you as a man. Right. And I feel like we can all respect each other as men and get better and grow from that. So this is what this podcast is definitely about.
Absolutely. And we have gone in so many different branches in the past, I guess 3 or 4 weeks alone. We are all over the place. We are on, we have our own Facebook page. It's the J.O.B. podcast page. We have our Instagram account. We have our Twitter account. You can see our mission statement that is up on the J.O.B. podcast page. And every successful endeavor has got to have a focus. It has to have a goal. And just to be very, very clear, we are not doing this for financial gain. And I want to make that known. That is something that we both believe that comes from as a byproduct. If that's meant to happen, if we're blessed for that to happen, that's fine. But our mission as men, like Ty said, is that you're not a real man if you're not transparent, if you're not real. And we don't believe in the I guess you could say the traditional man over time of not being able to cry, not being able to be emotional, not share your feelings. I would say for the first time in my life more than any, these past 9 months have really shown me how to be real with myself. As a victim of Hurricane Michael, Ty as well, everybody in this area and the surrounding as far as Lynn Haven and Mariana, Tallahassee, even up into the southern parts of Georgia, we have suffered a great deal. And guys, let's be honest. We as a community, as a region in the Panhandle, are going to be suffering through this for a very long time. And I mean years. And it could be just short of a decade. It could be longer. And that was a part of the big motivation for us doing this in the first place. There's no healing going on outside of going to church. If you're going to church and that's what you choose to do, that's great. We're both men of faith.
Oh yeah.
We sometimes worship in the church. I worship in the car on the way to work. I mean, that's my personal time with God. That's when he and I can speak. Ty is a great preacher. A lot of you out there have seen him. I got to listen to one of his recordings a few weeks ago. I really enjoyed it. Something about us is we are passionate. We are very passionate individuals, and we don't hide from that. And we tell you how it is when it's happening. Ty smiles at you why he may have a problem with you. I don't smile. People know right off the bat if I got a problem, you're going to hear about it pretty quickly. And our players out there, both past and current, can attest to that. But again, the mission statement behind this, and you can find this online, so we're not going to read it word for word. But the crux of it is that we may look like that we share the same space and have always done that, but we haven't. God is a funny puppeteer, if you will, when you can take people who probably not normally would have ever met.
Oh yeah.
And I told our camp members the other night who were attending, I said it's a miracle that Ty is even here, and I believe that because you did start writing a book last year. and we'll talk about that eventually, how hard it is to write a book, because this guy started that about 10 years ago and never finished it.
Oh yeah.
But I started reading it, and I felt closer to Ty right away just by getting to know some background, because we're not always really wanting to open up and talk about ourselves.
Oh yeah.
Especially when you've been through some traumatic events that have caused you pain. You bury that. Mm-hmm. And you're told as a man that you need to bury it. You're told that you don't need to be emotional and sensitive. We always hear, don't be so sensitive.
Oh yeah.
But it is a miracle that he's here, and we have both ended up in the same point in time, and that in itself is almost a miracle, because Ty could have gone any other 25 different directions. It could have said, hey, I'm a victim of my environment, I'm a victim of my upbringing. He could have played victim, and we see this every day. We know people who are like this. We have people like this in our families, and we love them anyway. And that's the thing is he and I are not going to agree on everything. Our spouses and we don't agree on everything. We joke about that too. And these are all things that are going to come to light in this show. We want it to be organic. And again, that's not a cliche as far as what we're going to Walmart and trying to find out food that's great for us that comes from the ground. It has nothing to do with that. We are organic men. We are organic individuals. We don't wake up with an agenda every single day. However the day is going to go is the way it's going to go.
Oh yeah.
And we make the best of it.
Oh yeah. So you look at our name, J.O.B podcast. I was talking to Coach Ford about Job in the Bible, who lost everything. Mm-hmm. Job had every reason to be mad, to be angry, to hate the world, to really just go off on God. And Job lost everything. And I started telling him the story of Job, and he came up with the concept, hey, Job, Journey of Brothers podcast. Mm-hmm. Because we've all have lost things. No matter where we're at right now, there's things in our life that has discouraged us, that have humbled us, that just stuck us, and we couldn't figure it out. But Job took everything that he was going through and it made himself a better person. His wife, his friends, everybody told him, like, man, you need to be mad at God. One of his wife even told him, you need to curse God and just die, because there's no reason why you're losing everything. What did you do? And a lot of times we don't do anything, but some things are called to us. And we just got to know that if God is strong enough, God is looking at us saying, you're strong enough to go through whatever I'm putting you through. That's why I smile. That's why I continue to go forward. Even when people have wronged me. I know it's a lot of people out there now like, why do you still talk to them? Why do you still socialize with them? Because I understand what God is doing in my life, and God is going to always be in charge. And this podcast is not just to beat God in your head. And we understand that God is ahead of all things, but I promise you our podcast won't be strictly religion based. We'll even throw questions out there for you guys to ask us. And we love responding. I mean, a lot of stuff is going to stump us. A lot of stuff is going to have us like, I don't know what to feel about this one, but that is the greatest thing about this podcast. We are going to talk about some everything. We're going to hopefully overcome a lot of things. You get to hear it from Coach Ford's perspective, and you get to hear it from Coach Ty's perspective. So if we feel a certain way about this or we feel a certain way about that, we are definitely going to talk about it. But we're going to remain friends at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And that's something that males don't do enough, and they're not honest with each other. I mean, when we had our first meeting about this back in early June,
yes,
I think it was, came over here and sat down and talked about it. And when we parted ways, we do the whole handshake and all that stuff. But I told him I love him, and he loves me too, and we mean that, And in today's day and age, more than ever, there is just oversensitivity has taken on a new definition.
Yes.
We both like being real, and this whole being afraid to just talk has gotten out of control. Our generation, the Generation Xers, was really the last of the honest breed out there, where we shoot from the hip, and we tell you what the deal is, and we may go back and say, hey, I didn't mean that to be so harsh, but at the same time, if you want honesty, you can come to us, because we're going to tell you straight up. And again, he'll smile at you, and if I'm smiling, I'm usually cracking a smart aleck joke. I take sarcasm to a new level where I'm a Jedi Knight at it, and I will look you dead in the face and I won't blink. But I think the cool thing too is we're consistent across the board. We parent, we are partners with our spouses, we are teachers, we are coaches, and we are friends. The same. We don't change, and it makes life easier that way, because you're not switching into a different persona. You're not, I got to put my dad face on now.
Oh yeah. I had all my students, even the kids that I'm teaching out at the college. We watched this video on YouTube. I forget the exact name of it, but everybody has a mask on. And one girl is walking around, and it starts off with her and her mask being broken. Then it goes in rewind, and it shows everybody at the school coming to school with different masks on. And you have a group of people with their mask on. You have another group of people with their mask on. And one girl was walking, and she took that mask off that she had, and she had another mask on for those type friends that she was hanging with. And it was basically showing the students that they're not being real with themselves. We come to school, or we go to our job, we have a false, people have a false perception of us, and we give it off. We're not really who we are. So, my belief is when I walk in, and wherever I walk in, that I want to be myself. I want people around me that's going to be themselves. There's no need of faking it. I mean, a lot of people, we're living in a fake society. A lot of people are not telling who they really are showing who they really are. They're just going with the flow. So we are not going to do that here. We are definitely going to be ourselves.
Yeah, it's just like you said, there's a great quote from John Gruden. I love him as a coach. Obviously coached my Buccaneers too. Their only Super Bowl title back in 2002. And he says during that season in the documentary, he said, if you're not bringing the juice, you're faking. And we said that the other night in the huddle as we broke down in our Panama City summer basketball camp, which, guys, by the way, for all of you out there who were a part of that, Aaron Conley at the Frank Brown Complex for working with me and working with Ty, getting that off the ground. All of the kids that were involved, if you're out there following us, hopefully you are, you were such a great group of kids, honestly and truly. Thank you for that. I mean, your attitudes were second to none. Got to be quite honest, we got more coachability from you all than some of the kids we've had recently. And again, not trying to take shots, but if you're going to be any kind of basketball player, football player, any sport that you're in, even as a student in the classroom, you have to be teachable and you have to be coachable. And the parent feedback that we got, we had a parent out there of one of our ladies called Alden.
Yes.
I will never forget Alden because of not only was she only one of two girls that came to the camp, but the smile on her face showed how much it meant for her to be there. And she really appreciated it. And her mom presented us both with $25 gift cards to Panera Bread.
Panera Bread.
Which, hey, if you don't like Panera Bread, you're sleeping.
Just got done eating my Panera Bread.
Yeah, we used it last night. So, hey, thank you to you all out there. The parents that drove their son down from West Virginia, obviously to come out of state to come to our camp, that's an honor. Anybody that's driving that far, that is not a close trip. West Virginia, I think, is at least 11 or 12 hours away. So thank you so much for that. And we really hope we can do that again next year, maybe even in the fall. You never know. We could get something going in the fall. And I do want to give a quick shout out plug to Jason at Tuffy Tire in Lynn Haven.
Get him right, Jason. Get him right.
I'll tell you what, this guy has gotten me out of not one but two jams now. And I mean in tight spots. So just the other day on Tuesday, second day of our camp, it is pouring down rain, as you all know, out there. And I'm walking out of Tyndall, where I just started my new position. And I go out there and I've got a screw that was no less than at least, I don't know, probably a good 5-6 inches deep in my tire, the right rear tire. And I get in there, I had 10 pounds of air.
Mm-hmm.
And I text Ty, I'm like, look, man, this ain't going to happen. I'm not going to get there on time. Long story short, there were two other places in town, I'm not going to throw you under the bus, that wanted nothing to do with me. They didn't want to help me.
Yeah.
If you truly want to help somebody, just say yes, and you get business, and you get them out the door. So Jason has done this for me now twice, where the other people said no.
Yeah.
And he said, just pull up right up front. I'll get some air in your tire. I'm going to plug it. He shakes my hand, doesn't ask for any money.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, go do your thing. So, Jason, thank you. Hopefully you can watch us out there. If not, definitely going to be showing up and letting you know about us, letting you know that we are not going to ask anything from you because you haven't asked anything from me. And you're probably going to end up helping Ty and somebody else we know. Oh, you already did?
Yeah, my wife is notorious for getting nails in her tires right now. So every time we go to Tuffy over in Lynn Haven, they won't even charge you. They plug the tire for free. So hopefully you guys, you go out there. Ladies, I know your tires are always messed up. Go to Tuffy and Lynn Haven. They got my business from there on out. And they don't even charge me. I mean, I don't know if I'm just blessed like that or if that's something that Tuffy's doing, but they are definitely blessing the people of Panama City.
Well, it's great business because it's not going to be anytime soon, guys, that the nails and the screws and the glass are going to be out of the roads. I mean, and we'll be talking about this periodically as we go. Like, again, we're just getting our feet under us as far as content, what's important to you out there. But we're kind of an open forum, I guess you can say. Like an open floor plan. We're an open forum. We are not going to be stuck in a box. We are not ESPN. We're not Fox. We're not CBS Sports. Obviously, for my family and friends out there, you know that I'm a sports nerd. You know that I'm a pop culture nerd. We both know a lot about sports and pop culture, but we're not going to dominate the show with that. We would love to hear from everybody that we've had in our lives, as far as students, as far as players, teachers, coaches.
I got 1 million students on my Instagram right now. As you can see, everybody's sending me little waves. Hey guys, hey, miss y'all. Miss all of y'all. Good job. Aiden, I see you there laughing.
But again, I guess getting back to let's get real honest real quick.
All right.
And let's do this. The basis of our friendship, Ty, is that you know how prevalent things are in America.
Oh yeah.
Where there's a lot of race dividing. Let's just go ahead and get that. Let's just talk about that.
Big time.
I think if you and I were to walk separately into a room in Panama City, that I would guess 95% of the room, if they didn't know us, would assume that we were not going to end up congregating and talking to each other. Is that fair?
It's fair.
Okay.
That's a fair assessment.
So just with that in mind, hypothetically, guys, the big reason out there that we wanted to do this is to start the conversation, and that is the lead-in on our J.O.B. Facebook page, is start the conversation. Fear is dominating the headlines now. Fear of, oh my gosh, we can't say that, we can't talk about that, we can't shake hands, he's black, I'm white, or you're Hispanic, or Asian. I'm going to look in the camera and say right now, just stop it. Please just stop it. Because again, as he said earlier, he came up to me with his hand out to shake my hand in 2016 in the summer, and he said, I'm Ty Steele. I just want to go ahead and meet you. You are coaching my daughter, Janaea. That's how it started, guys. It was that simple. It was a handshake and saying, I really appreciate what you're doing with my kid. And I thought it was funny because I thought he was going to say, stop yelling at my little girl. I was ready for it. I already had my rebuttal in my head. But that's really how simple it is. Just to make something into a microcosm, if we as a society, not just here in Panama City, but state to state, county to county, and as a nation, if we could stop the nonsense, guys, really. And we're not flag bearers as far as we're going to be doing this ginormous movement. That's not what we're trying to say. What we are saying is that it does start very small scale. And if you really believe in it and you want it to happen, that it can get there. And all of our students can attest to this. Mm-hmm. Our players can attest to this, that we look all of them in the faces every single day for the past few years at whatever school that we've taught at, that please be kind to people out there. Mm-hmm. Treat them as you want to be treated. It really is the golden rule, not to be cliche. There was a little sign I had on my desk at North Bay Haven where it said, "Be the good."
Oh yeah.
And that's not over kids' heads. They understand that.
Oh yeah.
And that's something that, as grown men, we do get challenged. We do have a lot of adversity that we go through, and all the different roles that we play every single day, and we embrace that, and we never complain about it. We're blessed to have that responsibility that our children look up to us, our students look up to us, our players do, and we take that really, really seriously.
Oh yeah. I know when I first met you, it's easy for me to meet people. I go up and talk to people, no matter if it's going to be a comfortable situation or it's not a comfortable. But the thing was, I was a football coach and I had experienced so many different things with so many different people. Who is this black guy yelling at my kid?
Yeah.
What is he doing? And they don't even get a chance to realize, hey, I love your kid. And by the time the parent is ready to fuss at me, the kid is already like, no, not Coach Ty. He is the best. He is the bomb. And I've had those different situations. My first year coaching football was like 2004 or 2005. I was coaching Tiny Mites. And everybody know I started. Shout out to GCYFA. I started coaching football over there. So I had the Tiny Mites, the 5, 6, and 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
All right, attention span on 5, 6, 7-year-olds is like the hardest thing in the world to keep going, and we all know that. Yes, I have some funny stories you would love to hear. But one particular situation stuck with me that I promise you I'll never forget in my whole life. This was right before I had met my wife. I had already seen her, and when I seen her walk in the room, I was like, hey, and I probably was drinking something I probably shouldn't have been. I was like, hey, you're going to be my wife. And she was like, who the heck is this and what is he talking about? But this particular situation, one of the parents came up to me after the season was over with, and he stayed in a certain part of town, a lot of black folks don't go to. And he explained to me how he was born and taught to be racist and how he extremely hated black people. And the very idea of a black man coaching his son was like disturbing. But he said, nevertheless, after the first day, his son was just in love with the fact who Coach Ty was and what he would allow them to do and what he was teaching them. So he never pulled him off the team. And all year, he was standoffish from me. So finally, our last practice, it came to our last game. He came up to me and he said, Ty, I just want you to know that I'm such and such. I hadn't talked to you all year. I don't care for black people, never liked black people. I always used the N-word. I always had something negative to say about them. He was like, but you changed my whole perspective on black people and what a black man is. He said, before this, I didn't see you as my equal. I didn't see you as that. And he said, and this is going to sound real weird. He just kept going on and on and on. He said, this is going to sound real weird. He's like, he was like, my sister, my family, everybody, we never liked black people, but everybody's been watching you far off, and I would like to know if you would like to come over to my house for dinner and probably date my sister.
Wow.
That was like one of the funniest, scariest moments of my life. And I'm like, okay, thank you, because I was trying to figure out where the conversation was going the whole time.
Yeah, you're processing in your mind.
Yeah. But by the end of the conversation, he wanted me to date his sister.
Wow.
And come meet his family, because he believed that I could change his dad's mind about black people in America. And I was just, in a way I felt great about it. I said, all right, I changed somebody's mind. But it goes back to like, why is that? Why do people still in this day and age feel the way they feel? And
It's a great question.
it's a really great conversation. I had to constantly. I still find myself asking that question all the time, but you know, it usually don't start off like it's supposed to. But by the end, if you give people a chance, you can really see who they are. Now, there's some good people, some good black people, some good white people, and there's some bad ones. We all have a bad bunch of people in our group, but you generally just seek out those people and find the good in them. But a lot of what our problem is, if you experience one bad situation, we feel like everybody's like
Exactly.
that.
Exactly.
And it can't be that way.
Exactly.
So we've got to know people for themselves. I see the kids laughing at me.
Well, and I think we used the word tool the other night as far as using sports as a tool to teach life skills, using education to teach as a life skill as well, and that really is what it is. I mean, is that fair? I mean, there's so many different ways of going at these issues that we're talking about right now. There's really, I don't want to say there's a right or a more right way than the other, but I'd like to say our approach is one of the ones that is successful. There's no way for us to quantify our success rate as teachers and coaches. Unfortunately, as teachers, we're judged on test scores.
Unfortunately,
which quite honestly, to me, they don't prove anything. Especially this is coming from somebody who has test anxiety.
Yeah.
I consider myself highly intelligent, but if you put a test in front of me, I freeze up. I don't like them, and I will do quizzes all day long. Personality quizzes. I love personality quizzes.
Oh yeah.
But if you put a general knowledge test in front of me, I'm not a fan.
Oh yeah.
I don't like it. And as far as judged on success rate and wins and losses as a coach, fair or unfair, that's the way it happens. And again, there are so many different categories that we are going to visit during this podcast, during this journey. And we say that word journey a lot, but that's what it is. Again, we met each other. I don't want to say by accident, because I really don't. I don't believe in coincidences.
Oh yeah.
And I don't believe in accidents.
Oh yeah.
I think we met on purpose, for a very specific purpose. Panama City is a small town. It's like the Wild West. I moved from Navarre, which was 2 hours away, which was a very small town. And it was like you stepped in everybody's living room wherever you went, because you knew about everybody's stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You could be in a tiny restaurant and somebody knew exactly what was going on, and you didn't even know who they were. So Panama City is a little bit bigger than that. But that goes to the crux of, that's why it's so important to treat people well, because you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know if you're teaching their kid.
Oh yeah.
And again, that goes back to the invisible backpack, like you were talking about the mask. That was one of the things in that book that I never finished. My premise of the whole book was talking about the invisible backpack, which is not a new thing. A lot of you maybe have heard this before, but it's the idea that when you're at the gas station and you have a little bit of road rage, and you're say you're the one on 15th Street, the brand new one they just built up in front of the Callaway Walmart again, which gets so packed because it's the cheapest gas in town. This is just an example for everybody. It's a local example. It gets really tight in there. All of us are in a rush, guys. Please slow down. Oh, yeah. Is there anything really that important that you need to get to that you can't get there safely?
Oh, yeah.
But we're rushing to get that gas, right? And you yell out the window something that you shouldn't say. I got flicked off just last week. And all I was doing was going to get my hair cut.
Yeah.
And I did the proper thing by putting my blinker on. I merged over. I did everything I was supposed to do. The guy behind me just came right up on me and tailgated and believed that he should have had that spot. And I see my rearview mirror, his middle finger goes up, and I'm like, wow. You know, and keep in mind, this guy's got a business phone number right on his back of his windshield. He's got his business that he works for. Yeah. I could have easily called him in and said, look, your boy here just flicked me off.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go to social media with this. You know what I did, everybody? I let it go.
Oh, yeah.
You let it go.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to raise my middle finger back at him. What does that make me? What's the message there? What kind of leader am I if I'm doing that? So on a daily basis, we don't even know what we're dealing with until we may cross that bridge and say, man, you know, it's just got a little bit too much going on today. We just don't know. And again, that's we're trying to get the message out there, not in our mission statement only, but and the reason why we're doing this is to by positive reinforcement, to use a scientific term, is to say, be the good, get that out there a little bit at a time. Look at yourself in the mirror. Are you being good to yourself? Are you treating yourself the way that you need to treat? You can compliment everybody else that you want to, but at the end of the day, if you're tearing yourself down, what good are you to anybody else?
I got one of my kids on here. He see everything we're talking about. Josh, you're a smart kid. I'm glad you paid attention. He said before school, the Coach Ty showed us a video about a mask and how you shouldn't be afraid to show your feelings.
Amen.
He also has, I had to pin that one on there when it says, life won't stop teaching you, so never stop learning.
Exactly.
So I think one of our greatest assets is the ability to be able to teach young people. I think that's one thing I'm going to miss about teaching history this year.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, it was so many life lessons. I know that my students probably drove them crazy. Black History Month was all Black history.
Yeah.
And we even wrote papers, and we had a great time doing it. But we learned a lot about history. And then the students started saying, hey, we want to learn about women history. We want to learn about that history. There's so many things that you can do with history. Even teaching my psychology class, a lot of stuff that we talk about in the world, we talked about in psychology class. Did it always go over well with the parents? No, because their kids basically change their opinion about a lot of things. And I think once people sit down and start taking the time to actually listen instead of saying, hey, I have an opinion about this.
Right.
It's kind of like this morning, my wife was talking to me, and ladies, you can attest to this. Women they love talking, or I should say venting.
Gotta be careful, man.
Yeah.
Gotta be careful.
Women love venting.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, a lot of times when you vent to a man, our true definition, our true job is we try to fix stuff. We're going to fix it. So when you're talking and you're venting and you're telling me your problem, in my head, I'm trying to fix your problem.
Right.
Now, that messes up the situation because I'm not listening.
Exactly.
I'm too busy trying to fix a problem when all you really want me to do is just listen.
Exactly.
So we have to just sit back at times and just listen. And a lot of times, people, if they keep talking long enough, you'll understand where they're coming from. Mm-hmm. But if they mess up and say something they're not supposed to say, don't beat them up because they said it. I mean, we get ridiculous on a lot of things right now. Let's talk about LeVar Ball for one. I know ESPN, when he was talking to Molly, and I think that's just his character.
Yeah.
I don't even think he was flirting with Molly. But we're in a stage where everything is so sensitive and we've overlooked everything. We're trying to overcompensate.
Overanalyze.
We're trying to overcompensate for it now. We're trying to make up for it. So now, I can't stand him on TV. I don't. Every time LeVar Ball comes, I'm like, please get him off TV. But he is entertaining, so I'm going to miss seeing him on there talking about how his sons are greater than Jordan and he could beat Jordan easily. But I think we overanalyze that situation. I don't even think her husband was mad about it because he was just saying, "Hey, I'll do anything for you." But
yeah,
because if you know him, you know the backstory. His wife almost died.
Yeah.
And he stopped everything he was doing. He takes care of his wife to a whole nother level. So, ladies, a lot of times that's why guys don't even speak.
True.
or just say hey, because a lot of people interpret that as, oh, he's trying to date me or he's trying to talk to me. So if you see me in public and I give you the church wave, that's what it is.
I do the same thing. And I've heard through other channels before that I'm unapproachable and that I look like I'm mean, and I think that's funny because I'm completely the opposite of that. I mean, I am the antithesis of being unapproachable. I will speak to anybody, anywhere, anytime, and I know that I have that look on my face like I'm on a mission, I'm going somewhere. I usually am. I walk fast. I don't want to waste time. I feel like my time is very valuable, and I'm trying to maximize it. But you bring up being an active listener. That's something that as males, and this is directly at the males out there listening, don't try to fix a woman's problems ever. Please don't. Please don't. That is something that if you make that mistake, you'll make it one time.
Oh yeah.
And you ain't going to make it again.
Oh yeah.
And like Ty said, you can't be processing in real time what that woman is saying to you, especially if it's your wife, especially if it's your girlfriend, especially if it's your fiance, whatever that role may be. You need to flat out just listen.
Oh yeah.
Just open your ears and sit there and nod your head and make eye contact. And then when it's over, if you're invited in the conversation, which you need to be invited, then you speak.
Yeah.
But not until then. And it's not so much of a, oh, well, she's up here and I'm down here. It has nothing to do with that, guys. Get your ego out of the way.
Yeah.
Understand that she'll respect you and love you more and find you a lot more attractive if you are listening to her, and you can give back feedback when she asks you, when she says, well, what do you think about that? That's your green light. Bing, ooh, I can speak now. But if you're going to come with something, again, like I said about John Gruden, don't fake it.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to bring the juice, and she's going to know if you're bringing the juice, because if not, women can see right through you.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, big time. Definitely got to be genuine on that aspect of it. But I'm learning to put my best listening skills on. I don't claim to be the best husband in the world by far.
Always got to learn. Always learn.
So there's always things that you can definitely learn, and I learned one of those things. And I think it's because I have nothing but daughters. Everybody laughs at me, but I saw a comedy episode on Netflix. Mike Epps was talking about all the guys bragging because they got sons.
Yeah.
And like I have like 4 daughters. Nothing but daughters.
It's easier having sons.
Yeah, but
You know,
listen,
I've got both.
But like Mike Epps said, your sons are going to take you to the nursing home. My
True.
daughters, I'm going to be laying in their living room on the bed.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Very true.
Old and senile. Can't wait. It's coming.
Oh, I can wait. I can wait. All the arthritis every day telling me I'm getting there quicker than I want to get there.
But back to LeVar Ball. I mean, how do you feel about that situation? What do you think?
Oh, you're really going to press me on LeVar Ball?
Yeah.
Well, you know, this is the journalist coming out of me. I'm just going to give you. I'm going to take the Dave hat off, and this is.
He's a loud mouth. Go ahead. I know it.
I don't want to. That's nonsensical. I think what he is he's an exhibitionist in that way. That I think I don't know, but I think way back in the day he was coming from a good place where he wanted to market his kids.
Oh yeah.
Okay, being a father, you want to get your athletic son out there, or your athletic daughter. You want to get them out there and get noticed. But my problem is where he veered off and made it about him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but another thing we brought up the other night, and this is just to show how we speak and talk and think this every single day, do we not? Mm-hmm. We said right there on the baseline, I looked at the players, I said, this ain't about you. That this is about your team. And so my answer about LeVar is, it's not about you. Mm-hmm. You might have raised and taught your boys the game, and you did. Congratulations.
Oh yeah.
But one of them got in the league, and that's a blessing, and that is beating 98% of the population.
Yeah.
He got to the league. Leave him alone. Let him do his thing. You don't need to be on ESPN. You don't need to be on Fox. You don't need to be on CBS anymore. Dude, you did your part. You did more than your part.
Yeah.
Step out of the way. Mm-hmm. Let him be a grown man. And now that you got him traded to a much smaller market team, you took him from his dream team, LA Lakers, which you happen to be a fan of. Yeah. I was a fan of back when they were more likable.
Yeah. Well, you said it right. He talked him. He got him traded.
He did.
Got him traded.
And then he wanted to spin it, saying that he didn't want to be in LA in the first place, which is a lie. Because when you're an LA kid, you grow up in LA. Who else do you want to play for?
Yeah.
You're not going to want to play for the Clippers, which. Okay, hold on before you guys go, oh, well, the Clippers are good now. Are they? We don't know that yet. Okay, They haven't put the ball on the hardwood yet, y'all. We don't know if Kawhi and Paul George are going to mesh.
Oh, yeah.
They haven't played together. Oh, yeah. Are they besties? That's great.
Yeah.
Hey, we're besties. We don't know if we're going to look good at all playing on the basketball court. We haven't found that out yet.
Oh yeah.
Just because you can talk and hang out doesn't mean you can put shots in the hole. Mm-hmm. So my final answer on him is the fact that he's been given too much time on air. He never should have been given half that. But he shouldn't have. He's obnoxious. And is he entertaining? Yes, I'll give you that. He's entertaining because he's like that bad accident on Pier Park that you're just driving by and you're like, oh my gosh. And then you're looking in your rearview mirror. And then you're looking in your side mirror. And the kids are going, oh my gosh, Dad. And you're like, hey, turn around, now look at that.
Yeah.
That's LeVar Ball.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, hey, I wanted to see Ball stay in Orlando. I mean, Atlanta. I'm all confused now. LA,
yeah.
with the group that we have now. I think LeBron, I really think we got the best LA team right now. No bias intended, but it is bias there. But I don't know. I'm curious to see what the Clippers are going to do. I don't know how Paul George is going to hold up. I really don't.
Hold up. Is he going to hold up?
I mean,
that's a good question.
Even with Kawhi, I don't know how much Kawhi is going to hold up. These guys are. I mean, they're getting smart. They're playing 80 some odd games. They know they got to take so many games off. You got to rest your body. You got to do this. But I don't know.
ESPN article, I need to send you the link, and I'm not giving a plug to ESPN out there because they're darn sure not the best what they used to be anymore. But it came out about the whole travel generation of the athlete and how this is driven by parents. You and I have firsthand knowledge of this. We've been inside the game, we've been outside the game. But you all watching us right now, please give it a look. Please give it a read. It's on ESPN. It should be on the front page. It's talking about that. It says athletes are a ticking time bomb. That's the headline.
Yeah.
And I'll have to send you that link. It's a very long article, but it's fascinating in the way that we're coaches and also parents. And in our generation, we were lucky to play any kind of organized game every other week. Let alone play 3 or 4 games in a week.
Oh, yeah.
Not to mention on top of 4 and 5 practices in a week. On top of personal training 4 and 5 times in a week. So what I'm trying to say is it's overload. And our athletes out there in America are breaking down. The evidence is out there scientifically that by the time they get to college...
Yes.
That their knees are gone, that their backs are so messed up, that in comparison to you and I, we didn't start experiencing our major aches and pains until we were in our early 30s.
Oh, yeah.
And we're talking about kids we have 11-year-olds, everybody out there, who are tearing their ACLs.
Yeah.
My daughter Hannah has major back problems, and she's not even 16 yet. And that's a lot of wear and tear on the body. All that going and diving for balls in volleyball and playing in the yard with me when she was younger. We got to slow that thing down. And we know a lot of parents who are on the baseball circuit with travel teams.
Yeah.
And we're not saying that there's a lot of villainizing out there. We have our opinions on AAU, both positive and negative. And that's definitely
I'm definitely on the negative.
Yeah, we're gonna open up about that. I think that's something that's going to be a recurring theme with us, because AAU is ever evolving. I think is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of coaches out there. Big props to you that are doing it the right way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But there's an overbearing amount of you out there who are after it for this. You're at it for the recognition. You're trying to get on Netflix for a documentary, which I watched a couple of years ago. It made me sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
That's not what coaching is. That's not why we got into it. We got into it to help young men and women, not to get exposure, but to better themselves. Because if you can survive a season, and you can survive on your feet and not on crutches, then you got through something.
Oh, yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, I love the AAU teams here. There's a lot of great coaches out there. Shout out to Scooter, Frank, and Marcus Rolak. These guys really put the time and effort in it. Coach Snell, I love you guys.
Yeah.
It's what a lot of AAU games, when I go to them, all I see is they're pressing the team from the get-go. Okay, the other team just can't get the ball down the court. So if you're playing AAU basketball and you beat a team like 80-4, like, is that really fun?
I've seen that.
Is that like really teaching the kids? And it's so much wear and tear on their body, because then they'll get a good game. And a lot of guys, when we realize when we're playing down here, we go out of town, we see a whole new talent pool.
Right.
And I think it's fun to go out of town and do stuff like that. But I just get bored with it when you're pressing the team to death. They can't get down the court. I already got to spend $200 just to get my family in the game.
Yeah.
Just to watch this, and then it's big money right now. It's real big money into it. I don't think we're utilizing the kids. I like when sports was, and no disrespect to my baseball people, but baseball it's year round now.
It is.
There was a baseball season, then it went to football season, then we had basketball, then we had track, and then we was back on the football and soccer. We was doing all of those things. A lot of kids right now, we make our kids one-dimensional. You're only playing this one sport.
Yeah.
So you're going to stick with baseball. You're going to stick with basketball. I mean, whatever happened, I tell all the kids all the time, when I went to the Rutherford High School, we played every sport there was because we had so much pride about our school. I didn't want no sport to be sorry.
Right.
So if I had to run track, play soccer, do whatever I wanted, do whatever I had to do, I wanted to make my school the best school out there.
Absolutely.
But now, as parents, we are teaching our kids to be one-dimensional. My daughter, I love my child to death. My 12-year-old she is different. So she's basketball, she's volleyball, she's track. And now she's like a famous YouTuber. She has a little YouTube voice going on. I was like, you know what? Why not take some acting classes? And and dance. She really loves dance. So there's no one thing that she's sticking to. And I feel like a lot of these kids make a mistake of saying, I'm just going to do this one sport. I'm going to invest all my oranges over here and not focus on anything else. And then when the scholarship doesn't come. They're like, okay, my whole world is gone. My whole world is lost. But if you have 20 different things you do and that you're invested into, you can keep going, and it doesn't even affect you. So I just, when it starts coming to the travel sports, I'm not a huge fan of it. I get it. I understand a lot of kids need that. But I really believe there should be more than one sport. I used to coach these twins, and their dad had a saying, when the next sport starts, you're putting this down. So they were baseball kids. As soon as football season started, at Little League football, he said, all right, baseball gloves up, baseball bats, everything's put in the closet. Yeah. Now we're on the football. And he said by the time they get to high school, they'll figure out what their better sport is. But they continue to play both sports, and they got several different offers, several different scholarships. So those kids got to have in mind that I'm not just one-dimensional.
Sure.
And we got to get out of that as parents.
We do. In high school, we were expected to varsity letter in more than one, if not two, maybe three sports, and that was an expectation. That was even a local neighborhood expectation. If it was on a good day, a 3-on-3 football game, right? We had all-time quarterback.
Oh yeah.
Man, y'all were competing out there to win like it was a Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
And you could be friends afterwards. But, I was coming at you while the game was going on. Oh, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that for all you kids that may be watching right now. And we've said that in our classrooms. We've said that on the football field and in the gym. Competition's good. Oh, yeah. It doesn't mean you have to be nasty to somebody. It doesn't mean you have to cut them down. We hear so much trash talk all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Is the current generation that's out there is so quick to cut down with words.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
But they don't want to prove it.
Oh, yeah.
We even heard a camper the other night who he said it with a smirk on his face. It was all in kindness and a little funny, but he's like, "Oh, you can't guard me," because a kid came up and he barely, he kind of put his hand in his face and he made it look like he hit a 3-pointer, as if it meant something.
Oh yeah.
And I'm over there lacing my shoes up, and in my head I'm like, man, it's so lucky that you're 2 generations separated from me. Because I was always the guy that I came silent to the court.
Oh yeah.
I had a crew of guys, and shout out to Brian McGregor out there. I haven't seen you since high school. I hope you're doing well, brother. Please stay safe, and I hope you're back on your feet. You know what I'm talking about. We traveled around almost daily, and the weekends. We even talked about going in the hood in parts of town we shouldn't. We were going to hustle because that was the time when White Men Can't Jump movie came out.
Oh yeah.
And this is a generational story here where y'all can really relate. And this was a thing where, early 90s, it's almost like things haven't changed. White, black was bad. Early 90s, it was the Rodney King stuff was going on. O.J. Simpson was going on. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, don't want to get hurt. Boys in the Hood movie came out. All this stuff was happening. You remember all this? Early 90s. It was just an explosion of cultural madness.
Oh, yeah.
The Dr. Dre The Chronic album came out, which made race relations even more just so sensitive.
Oh, yeah.
What I'm trying to say is if you're going to be that athlete, that kid that shows up, don't do this first. Mm-hmm. Let your play, let what you do talk for you. Mm-hmm. And even if you're doing well, even if you're having a great day, that doesn't mean you're not going to meet that kid in the park somewhere else again. And he's going to be, oh man, you were that kid. You were talking the other day. It didn't matter where I went. I always showed up quiet. Mm-hmm. Because I knew that somebody was playing against me for the first time. Mm-hmm. And I might have done my own hustling. I might have clanged some balls off the rim and say, oh, I'll make this guy think I can't shoot. And then once it's time, it was the nets were on fire.
Oh, yeah.
And I missed that. That's what's beautiful about sports, all you young athletes out there. When you get our age, you do anything. Yes. You would do anything for an hour of that again. And that's not that whole nostalgia comment. It's just... there's that, as Rocky said, there's something left in the basement.
Oh, yeah.
Huge Rocky fan right here. I quote him all the time. But, man, there's so much truth out there in those movies. And if you're a true athlete, if you're a true student of whatever game it is, and obviously if you're a coach, mm-hmm. you're a student of what you're teaching. And there's always that fire. And if you don't have that dog, if you don't have that will to go out there and be the best that you can be, it's really not about winning and losing. It's about maximizing what you're doing and your gifts mm-hmm. that you're given. Are you going to work for it?
Oh, yeah.
There's not a shoe out there that's going to make it happen for you. There's not an insole that's out there that's running all over Facebook ads right now saying it can add 2 inches to your jump. Come on now. And it costs $250 for insoles. That's not going to make you bounce off the ground. Look, I was white as white could be, 5'8", had a 36-inch vertical leap, and I was dunking a basketball right here at the age of 14. So if I could do that, working 4 hours a day, what's your excuse?
Oh, yeah.
You know, we don't deal in excuses. We deal with resolutions.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, and it also goes back into back to coaching. I've had some great coaches in my young lifetime. I will never forget, and he's still alive. I used my him. I call him the GOAT. Albert Gant. When I played football at Springfield, it was a tone that was set. Like, my God, like I wanted to run over a car for him.
Yeah. Because
he motivated me that much to do it. And I guess that's how I started coaching. Coach Harden did the same thing. Coach Harden was a great motivator, and he took something that nobody said could be done. He took Rutherford High School to heights that nobody thought we could ever reach. And so he made those little kids that was from the projects and over there believe that they could be somebody. Then all kids from all walks of life started to coming in.
Yeah.
As a coach, you have to be one of the greatest motivators. I see a lot of guys that coach now, they just stand around and just scream. Just stand around and just scream.
Yep.
That gets you nowhere with these kids. And they hate or play off of or say, why are you so successful? Why do all kids like you? Why do they want? Why are their parents fighting for you? And I've just figured out how to motivate kids to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But you got to best believe everything I'm telling them was told to me before. My grandmother had already told it. My grandmother was the greatest coach. I know the man. She coached me from impossible situations and did it. So I feel like if I do the same thing with these kids, all my players will run through a wall for me.
Yeah.
I have students who will run through a wall for me or do whatever they can do for me. And that's what we have to bring along. So if I'm that much of a positive influence, I can then say something that's going to motivate you to want to change your life. I did that a lot in girls basketball. We didn't have speeches in the classroom or speeches just watching game film where everybody in the room started crying. Even the coaches were about in tears. And it was like, man, what did you do to me? What did you say to me? I just know how to motivate. And you're not going to always be the most talented team. You're not going to be the most talented people, but what are you going to do when the lights cut on? How are you going to rise up? How are you going to say, you know what, I want to take my game to another level? And I think you definitely specialize in helping kids take their game to another level.
Yeah.
Because you did stuff with my daughter I didn't think she could do. And then when I watch her game transition to what it is this year, I was just like, oh my God. I was so excited, but then I made a mistake as a dad. You know, I'm sitting there, I'm fussing about the things she didn't do, but then I just had to stop because one day she came home and I said, "Baby, I am so proud of you. Like you was up and down the court, you was flying around, you was getting after it." And then she looked at me and she said, "You're proud of me?" And I was like, "Oh, hold on, let me pause. I don't say that a lot." So I had to start to realize I need to tell her that more because out of all my daughters, I mean Kiki's like one of my favorite children. I shouldn't have a favorite child, but I love them all. They're all my favorites.
Yeah.
But Kiki was my cheerleader. So when she started cheering, I was cheer dad.
Okay.
So I'm in the stand doing cheers. I'm at all the cheer competitions. I'm mad at the other team saying they're cheating and doing. I go all out. And then my other daughter, Taja, I told her like, don't play sports at all. I'm going to spank you. You just smart. You have no athletic ability. And she was fine with that.
Right.
But then along comes Janaea, and Janaea's doing like all the sports thing, and I'm like a sports nut. Then I'm like, oh my God, yes. And she was getting after it. And then, I mean, I would sit there, I would ride home and just cry. Like tears would just come out of my eyes like, my baby is doing this. And I didn't think she would do this. That's my baby. And but it's been a beautiful thing just watching her kids, and then you know her coaches motivate her. So it's stuff. I can't get to her in certain ways. Coaches say something to her, and she's just. I don't know what Coach Snell did to him this year because the whole team at times just shocked me. Even though we were losing games, you seen growth.
Sure.
And I love the growth part of it. So I think next year she's going to be 10 times better. She's changing schools and. She has that nervousness, like, am I going to make the basketball team? And I'm like,
yeah, that's normal.
We're here now. Let's do it.
Yeah.
We're here.
It's about activating that part in a kid's brain and their self-esteem that they haven't engaged before. And that's something that I get a kick out of. I really do. And my fiance, Demi Kunkel, which, shout out to her if she's, I don't see her watching. She should be watching. I see you watching. Anyway. She took all those great pictures of us on our site and everything, making us look good.
Shout out to Demi.
Yeah, without a doubt. She told me a few weeks ago when I took this new position outside of the school, she's like, you're going to be missing something.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, what's that? She's like, you're not going to have that open forum anymore where you can walk into your classroom and you can make it whatever you want it to be in that certain day. And I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. And I got to be honest. I mean, I am missing it. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I didn't realize I needed every single day. And so that, that's something that doing the camp that we just recently did was a way for that to activate that in myself. But, talking about Janaea, when you first brought her to me to coach, she didn't believe in herself.
Nope.
And boy, is she hard-headed because I must have said 120 times during that season that, keep in mind, was a very short season. It was only 8 games. She didn't want to put that ball off the glass.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
I'd go up right behind her and I'd even whisper. I'd start saying, sweetie, you need to put that ball right in the square. And I promise you the ball will go in the hole. And she'd look at me and I could see that she processed it. But then she decided in her little head, no, I'm going to go ahead and shoot straight up and let it be an air ball. But she learned. And in fact, you posted a time hop, I think it was 2 days ago, about where she hit a game winner. And that was after she had already played on one of my teams.
Yeah.
And for me, that made my heart swell.
Yeah.
And you never know as a coach if you have something to do with a certain moment, but you like to think that you did. And because there's no way for you to quantify that. But in that moment when I saw it and I heard your voice in the background, I was like, wow, you know what? I'm glad I was a part of that. I'm glad I was a part of that.
She's on Instagram Live right now. Hey, Janaea, Daddy talking about you. Don't be mad.
No, she's actually some of the brains behind this operation, no doubt. Look, she may be young, but she's smart, and she's going to be getting us all over the place on YouTube. She's going to make sure that we are getting our message out there. And so, Janaea, thank you so much. And Coach Ford misses you. You got a great smile, and you light up a room.
She said, hey.
Probably just made you blush. That's okay. Gosh, I feel like I wanted to hit something else. I see we're coming up on an hour.
Yeah.
as we do that, like I used to do in radio, just to recap real quick, we've talked about a myriad of things, and we're just getting our feet off the ground. So please don't rush to judgment on what we're going to be.
Just said miss you too. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's all good. I think we're for everybody. I really do. I think because we're like the everyman character, where we try to be able to relate, to be relatable to everybody. We don't view ourselves as above anybody. We don't view ourselves as going after a certain demographic. We're definitely in that 14 to 65 plus age range, and we don't see color, guys. So please, it's we don't do that. We're not talking to a certain category of people. I would like to say on both of our behalfs that, being Panama City locals, that during this time right now, if you would please, pray for those people that are in New Orleans. I know all of us, and please be honest with yourselves, when we started seeing that the forecast was going to the west,
I was out of here.
We all went, we took a little deep breath. We're like, well, it's not coming our way. And, and that's okay to feel like that, because look, we don't need anything else right now. But at the same time, pray for them, please. I know that I've been praying for them the past few nights. Me and Demi have sat down, we prayed for them, because we don't want anybody suffering. It's not worth it to wish the stuff that happened to us last October and the stuff that continues to unfold in front of us each day. We don't wish that on anybody. So please pray for your brothers and sisters that are to the west of us, of the Panhandle, and that they're going to be okay and get through this time. For people here, please stay strong. And I can feel that inside when I say it. It's a deeply emotional thing for me, because my backyard, I may be in my house, and I'm blessed, and I think that all the people that have been a part of that, from our the current people that we had working on our house right now, to my dad, David Ford Sr., to my mom, Louise Ford, to Debbie out there, Demi's mom, who took care of Monty for us for 8 months. We've had so many people help us, but my backyard is a place that's very dark for me, and I see October 10th of last year when I go back there, and it's a very, very hard thing to get through. And I know that you've got your stories too, but everybody out there in the area, please come together. What's our boy's name out there? His name DeMarcus. What's his name? Show the love, spread the love.
Oh yeah, DeMarcus.
Yeah, DeMarcus. Shout out to him for doing more than his part in the community. There's a sign right down the street here in Callaway that he made with his hands, and I'm happy for him. He's going on Ellen to get. That's our story. His story is our story, and we need that kind of we need that kind of attention out there to help us in the community. We all need to be together. I look outside in the neighborhood here, and it's come a long way, and I'm very happy. But there's an apartment complex that's 500 yards away from my front door that looks like somebody took a complete lawnmower to it. And a lot of people's lives changed that day and will never recover. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Hurricane Michael definitely changed everything. I will say this, though. It's kind of like 9/11. When 9/11 happened, I saw America come together like I've never seen America come together before. It was beautiful what happened after a natural disaster, just a disaster like that.
Yeah.
Hurricane Michael pulled us so close together. People were stopping by, dropping off ice, helping people cut down trees, asking people what their needs were. I know a lot of people right now have let people stay with them for like these 8-9 months.
Yeah.
Just rent free, just to help out. But all things turned. It seemed like, just like you said the other day, you were driving and somebody flicked you off. People are changing, and we got to go back. We got to remember, October 10th changed all our lives. And now when I talk to everybody, we all have something to relate to. but people have gone back to being mean, have gone back to arguing and cursing and carrying on Facebook, and just not being real with themselves when it comes to this situation. Michael devastated us all. There's a lot of kids right now who hear start thundering outside, and all of a sudden they start getting anxiety.
Yeah.
They got a test. I mean, it's just a bad thing to be. And I think that storm was meant to pull us together for a reason. A lot of people have more than they have ever had before right now. So in some ways it was a blessing. Some people lost everything and ended up having to leave. So we really need to reflect on that. We definitely need to write our letters to Al Roker.
Oh, we do, yeah.
Who just are, if you're like me, you feel totally disrespected when it comes to how people treat us about this storm.
That hit me in a bad place yesterday, and I brought that up to Demi because she hadn't seen it. And Al Roker, for all of you who don't know who's familiar with it, he's been on Good Morning America for decades now. He's more famously known for his weight loss that he went through, and that was a big win for him. And I applaud him for that. But his thing yesterday, he was doing a quick rundown for GMA, and he was talking about the impending tropical storm hitting in the Gulf Coast, and then he says, and I quote, "Yeah, Hurricane Michael, that was a Category 3, 4, and almost a 5." And I had to pause because I needed to control my temper, and that's something I work on every day, and that I take that personally, and I don't take 99% of things personally in a given day, but that one hit me hard. Because for someone who considers himself a weatherman, when the man doesn't even have his degree as a meteorologist, and not to say if you don't have your degree in something that you can't be an expert on it, I'm not going there, because my degree is in communication, and by no means am I an expert on it. However, if you're going to speak on something that is so fresh, it was just 9 months ago.
Yeah.
And you want to try to tie it into something that wasn't even a tropical storm yet yesterday? Come on now, please stop. And almost a Category 5. Yeah. Well, the National Weather Service says it is, and it was. So there's no disputing that. And going back to what Ty was saying, as far as the community, yes, please, everybody out there, we are starting to see the cynicism come back. We are starting to see the separation come back. The pack mentality of, well, we're going to go with ours and you stay with yours, has infiltrated and come right back. And guys, that is the wrong direction. We shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
But do we really need natural disasters to make us come together? Yeah. Do we need things to shake up our whole life and our whole world to come back together? Yeah. You went through so much damage in your apartment complex. You stayed in it. You rode it out. We stayed in our house and rode it out, and we both have been through mental warfare.
Yeah, we almost died.
That's the thing. You just said it. I was just driving into school a few months back, and those words went through my mind. I'm like, me and my family could have died that day. Oh yeah. And that hit me in a spot that is something you don't want to deal with. Oh yeah. And you never picture you're going to be in that position. And, you have your people saying, oh, well, I told you so. Well, you could have prepared and da-da-da-da. And I'll admit, I was very, very too nonchalant about the whole thing. My family jokes with me now about how I was so just very blasé. Being a lifelong Floridian, things don't really bother me. I've seen so many hurricanes. I've seen the tornadoes come through. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it's going to be bad. It's going to be a lot of thunder and a lot of lightning. And I said it just like this. I was very dismissive is the word. I was definitely dismissive. Yeah. I mean, after you survived what we survived in Florida, who would have thought this hurricane would have hit like that? I want to shout out my LB, who's on my Facebook Live, called me by my government name. Thank you. Glad I don't have any warrants. They would come get me definitely. Thank you there, Streaker. But... We definitely need to get back to that. I felt like everybody ate some humble pie during this storm, and it showed us where we needed to be at in life.
I had students I had to hug and hold who were just
gosh.
terrified. And
Yeah.
then if it started raining at school, they really freaked out.
Yeah.
So a lot of people hadn't understood or don't understand how much of a mental impact this storm has had on this community. So when people do things like won't get bills passed because I don't think Florida, why do we need to rebuild, Tyndall? I'm like, listen, you need to come to Panama City and see it. You don't understand what we have been through as my little city has been through, and now you're just sitting up here and you're saying this and you're saying that. Come check it out.
Yeah,
come
please do.
see it. I mean, we're 9 months later, we still look about the same in certain places. Buildings are still tore down. People are still getting nails in their tires, and
that's going to happen for a while.
And then you said they didn't even put Hurricane Michael on the storm list. It wasn't on
Top 10 all time. There was a poll that came out the other day, and again, please check your sources on this. I probably should have done a better job before we got on here about that, but I did hear about it on the radio that Hurricane Michael didn't even make the top 10 list of most impactful weather systems that had ever been out there. If that's true, that's insanity. And linking up with what you were just saying about even federal funding, we didn't even get a look at after 220 plus days.
Yeah.
There's something really, really wrong with that.
Oh, yeah.
And not that we're detectives and we can get to the bottom of it, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of socializing that needs to happen because I know the Panhandle is looked at as not a place where you put down roots. It's not looked at as a place where you start a family. It's looked at as a tourist town.
Oh, yeah.
And
Definitely.
right after the storm, we had to stay in Destin. We ran into you in Destin. And we know we're speaking directly to a lot of you out there right now where you can relate, and you may even still be there. And my thoughts and prayers are with you if you're still driving hour and a half or 2 hours away to get into town just to check on your house as a field trip, which is what we were doing. But we were just doing our grocery shopping out there, just trying to survive. And you run into the locals that are in Destin, that are in Inlet Beach, oblivious guys, just oblivious. Yeah. And I went, hold on a second, I went in to get my hair cut one day at a place I probably shouldn't, and I left. Long story short, I didn't stay there simply because I had a lady in there really said something so mean. Yeah. But again, it goes that you don't know who's in the room with you, so always be careful what you're saying. Yeah. I was sitting down waiting to get my hair cut, and she said, "Yeah, all these people from Panama City just keep coming around here and taking up all the places to live, and I'm just tired of seeing that. And what is this all about anyway? Aren't things going back to normal?" Yeah. And I went outside because Demi was getting some stuff at Publix. I said, "Let's just go." I said, "I'll let my hair grow out for a year before I get my hair cut there," because this lady represents, obviously, a faction of people who just don't get it. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing to think there were people in Destin that wanted us out of there. When we were there, they would get the look, why are y'all here? Like, because the only thing they seen was Panama City Beach. Panama City Beach, I think they got very minimal damage. Panama City Beach, I had one of my friends rode through the beach after the storm or like the next day. Everything out there had power to it, and we were just dead in town trying to find gas, trying to find a place to stay. Everything was all backed up. I think your laptop was about to die. So it was 6%. Look at that. Yeah. So it was a total mess. It was total chaos, and a lot of people don't respect that. But I will say this: it's rebuild season. In every way. And we have been blessed for so long. Storms just kept missing us, just kept going by. And God just kept blessing us. Hurricane Katrina was headed straight for Panama City. But last minute, it veered on off and went its way. So we were like 20 some odd years without a major hurricane in Panama City. And we've been blessed, and we got kind of comfortable. Yeah. I don't think we're comfortable no more. Everybody's like, all right, I'll leave. A lot of stuff is getting rebuilt, and I don't want anybody to be discouraged. I know it seems hard right now. I know it seems like there's no end to it, but I truly believe we're at a time where we definitely got to trust God. And Absolutely. If we continue to trust God in all things, everything will eventually be fine. But this meanness, this hate we have for for each other, it has got to stop. It does.
It's got to stop. And then we also got to stop lying to each other. I mean, I talk to my students all the time. People will tell you, I don't see color. I have plenty of black friends. Well, you put your friends in categories of black, and you lie. When you see me, you see a dark black man. I don't care. When I open my mouth, then you be like, all right, that's the person. We are all people, and I feel like we are all considered equals. I don't care if you drive a Bentley or a station wagon. It don't matter. We are all men. We all put our pants on the same way. Yours might cost more than mine, or mine might cost more than yours. But if we get back to just respecting who each other are, we can definitely get through this storm. And this storm has been tough, and it's been tough on all of us. But I'm like you. People are just, they did a poll, I think about, I know they did a poll down south. 60% of Floridians didn't even know Panama City had a storm.
Oh, and it's like, what?
And we're already considered, we're the bottom of Alabama.
Yeah, Southern Alabama.
Yeah, we are definitely the bottom of Alabama. They don't want to consider us as Florida people, but we are in Florida. This is Panama City, Florida. So yes, we've been through a storm. A lot of stuff. People are just now getting back into their homes. I just got my apartment 3 weeks ago. I love it. It's beautiful. I don't love is my rent. The new story, my rent went up $300. Listen, I've seen apartment complexes with projects. I'm talking about projects charging $900 a month for rent in the projects. I seen a 1-bedroom the other day listed as $950. 1 bedroom, 1 bath. That's in the projects.
It's poaching, man.
$950.
Yeah, it's poaching.
And I know we can't do anything. They say, we can talk about price gouging on food, on anything, but I think the real crime is, and I know everybody want to make a buck right now. Everybody wants to make $1, but all these people that are raising rent from whatever it was, from $1,200 to $2,000. Come on. People are hurting. People need places to stay, and you got to find in your heart somewhere like, listen, God will bless me. I don't have to make this extra $500-$600 or whatever price gouging that you're doing. Think about the people. Think about the families, the people that are in need, people who don't have jobs. Restaurants can't even hire enough people because nobody's here. They can't afford to stay here anymore.
They can't.
And we're in rubble.
And to your point, real quick, and we're running short on time. We're going to have to wrap it up here pretty soon. But to your point, Ty, me and Demi went to Waffle House this morning, which was right down the street. And big shout out to them because they were the first business that opened back up not even 2 weeks after the storm. Had a huge...
Yeah, Waffle House got their own construction.
They do. Gigantic advertising pole that was about 8 feet around that went right through the top of that building.
Yeah,
and 2 weeks later, they had the presence of mind, and good business people said, you know what? All these contractors, all these power people are coming in our town. They got to have a place to eat.
Oh, yeah.
And they did that. And so we had a lady serve us today, Jackie, real sweet lady. And as we're eating, I overheard her saying that she's living in a little storage box kind of thing, is what she's living in this. And she's in our community helping people eat every single day. And in my mind, I don't know exactly what she's living in, but just to know that she's in something that's not built to be a house.
Oh, yeah.
That hurts.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that personally I can't do anything about that in this moment in time. But what we're trying to do is just get the word out there that there are so many stories that are like that are almost unbelievable in this day and time. In the richest country in America, that we have people in a community that you don't even want to say devastated. It was nearly obliterated.
Yeah.
It was nearly wiped off the map. And we have people who are feeding people in our community every day, who she's going home. It's not even a home. It's a storage box that probably isn't even more than a 12 by 12, maybe a 14 by 14. It's not much bigger than somebody's master bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And this is something we're going to really dig into some more. We're going to do this in future podcasts. We don't have a schedule laid out yet. We do. This is on the ground floor.
This is raw and cut.
It is. And for those of y'all that have joined us along the way, we've seen you pop up. Look, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts.
I just want to say, hey, Miss Duncan, that's like my favorite teacher ever at North Bay Haven. Like,
she's a good lady.
I love you, Miss Duncan. I mean, I wouldn't know how to teach if it wasn't for her. Blessing.
Dave Hooker over here, I've seen, he was somebody I worked alongside in Knoxville, Tennessee. He was my competition. I rode against you, but hey, always much respect for you. I always loved your writing. You're spot on. You do a great job, Dave. Thanks for tuning in today. Please continue to follow us and support us. We really appreciate it. Everybody out there, we've seen some state-to-state attention today. This is just the surface. This you haven't seen anything yet. We are so confident that we are going to touch some positive nerves that need to be awakened, that need to be engaged. Again, if you haven't seen our Wix website, the WIX, please check us out on our website. All you have to do is just do a general type in J.O.B. podcast, and you'll see us. Give us a look on there. Type something up. We're always going to do our best to get to you in a timely manner. We are so appreciative that you are starting with us on this journey. We want to be around a long time. This is something we want to do on a regular basis because we feel like that we can help. We feel like this is the best way that we can help. And obviously we're not teaching anymore. We've stepped away from teaching. And that's a whole subject we didn't even get into today. The beauty and the horrifying stories of teaching, but also at the end of the day, all of the lives that we touched. And we sincerely hope that going into this 2019-2020 school year, that those 6th graders, those 7th graders, those 8th graders, that we got through them. And probably a year in school that they will never forget.
Oh yeah. They got us through.
And got us through too. We needed you all just as much as you needed us. You gave us a reason. You gave us a purpose when we weren't living in our houses, when we were commuting 2 and 3 hours a day and on the road for coaching and wondering how are we going to do this.
Oh yeah.
We did it, and we couldn't have done it with all of you all. You got any parting shots you want to do?
Yeah, I listen, guys. I can't wait to really get into the meat of it. Like I said, we've been talking about this for a while. We want to hop on here and give you guys just a sample of what's going to be going on. We're going to talk about coaching. We're going to talk about sports. We're going to talk about marriages, relationships. If you guys have some ideas on things you want to talk about, all right, Coach Snell, I see you. You're really the GOAT. If you guys got some things that you want to talk about, we are ready and willing to jump in that format and really just dive deep into it. And like I said, we're not here to be political. We're not here to do any of those things. We're going to give you our opinion. It's nobody else's opinion. Don't hate us for it in the end. It may not be something you like or it's on your side, but just trust it's coming from a good place. We're not here to disrespect anybody. But listen, my next show, I definitely want to talk about coaching committees.
Ooh.
We're going to talk about coaching committees, picking the right coaches, coaches, just coaching in general. And shout out to all the coaches I've been up under. I'm learning from you guys.
We appreciate you, what you're doing out there.
I mean, listen, Coach Siegel, everybody over at North Bay Haven, thank you for the years you guys have given me. I'm definitely at my alma mater right now, and I'm all the way in.
And he's going to kill it. He's going to kill it. Watch out.
I can't explain the love I have for black and gold right now, but Ram Pride is going to be on a whole nother level. Can't wait to talk about my Steelers. I think they're going to drive me crazy.
Oh, now you got to stop.
Listen, it could be worse. It could be the Bucks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not all of us can compete with 6 Super Bowl rings. We got one,
Hey, Chucky Doll, y'all need to bring him back.
We do. Too late now, though. He's with the Raiders. He's got one of your boys now. But.
Oh, yeah. He can have him, okay? Thank you. Peace.
Hey, look.
Good riddance.
Everybody out there on every format, hang with us. This is just the beginning. Thank you so much. So much gratitude out there for everybody, our kids out there.
We love y'all.
We love everybody out there. For Ty Steele, I'm Dave Ford. This is the J.O.B. Podcast. Peace and love, and God bless.